Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader here. Some comic book thoughts. A few random thoughts on things I've been reading lately. Actually, I've been putting aside a pile of stuff I've read but wished I could talk about, and it's gotten that thick. I'm not going to do all of these in this video. In fact, I'm going to try to do some shorter videos, relatively speaking. Even though I know at least one person who likes to work out on a treadmill for 30 minutes while they listen to me blather. But anyway, I just wanted to try going shorter. So maybe I'll do a series of comic book thoughts, and each one will get a few less views probably. But anyway, I particularly wanted to mention Sacred Creatures, which has continued to be a really strong series and really enjoyable for me. It seems to get richer with each issue. It's kind of moving along slowly in a way because now it's got this braided tale that goes between the kind of mythological stuff about the Nephilim or the angels or whatever they are back in biblical days, and then the unfolding modern story about this character who's been used by the remaining Nephilim who've become the seven deadly sins, basically. They've used him to kill the one angel that was watching over them and controlling their behavior. But now they want his baby, who was just born from his girlfriend. So the modern day story has spread out from the seven deadly sins and the priest, who is the son of the angel, and our main character, whose name I can't remember right now. It's been a few weeks since I read this issue. Right now they're being chased by one of them. I think she's Gluttony, and she's like bone skinny, especially her legs. Anyway, just random stuff. I'm just trying to explain. It has, so the very first issue of, this is issue 5, the very first issue was a bit confusing and took almost till the end of the issue to kind of figure out what was going on. And after that, it's been easy to understand. And it's just been getting richer, and I like the way they're slowly layering in more and more of their kind of mythos here, and slowly building up the suspense and the pressure of what's going on. You know, we don't know yet why they want this baby, but it's written by two people known as artists, Klaus Janson and Paolo Raimondi, and Janson does the art for the past, and Raimondi does the art for the present. I can't quite see where this is going. I'm always nervous about some writers when they are mostly known as artists. Sometimes they don't have, they'll have even talented ones will have the chops at a certain level, but maybe not at the deep story level of pulling off a satisfying story. But so far, this just keeps getting more satisfying. From what I read, there's going to be an issue 6 and then a trade. Each issue is double size, like 40 or 42 pages. So the trade is going to be massive. The art is so good, I wonder, unless the binding in the trade, unless it's like a hardcover, you might want to look for the floppies if you could still find them to get the full impact of the art, because they're not very expensive floppies, given that each one is almost a mini trade. So it's just a deep, satisfying read. I compare it a little bit to Lucifer and a little bit to Sandman. It's got a bit of that vibe, and also that kind of I like the Bible as mythology stuff. There's no exact. There's no attack on religion here or anything like that. It's just there's interesting things from the Bible that you can look at on a mythological level, and there's still good and evil and all of that. Another interesting book, this one from Aftershock, called Brilliant Trash. I think there may be more than one issue out. I picked this up at a kind of a random stop-in at a shop other than my regular one. I can't decide whether to pursue more issues here or wait for a trade. I think the story is very good. There's some kind of either drug or evolution going on that's creating superpowered beings, but the cost is very high. It burns them out and kills them. But there's a mysterious kind of prophet-like character here with this metal mask on. I haven't been able to fit all the pieces together yet. It's written by Tim Seeley. So my biggest problem, though, is the art. It makes me less enthusiastic to pick it up in individual issues. And the other fact that a number of the Aftershock books that I've read now have started really strong and maybe fizzled a little bit, or not even finished, like the one by good old Warren Ellis. But like the two that I've been reading by Colin Bunn have gotten less good as they've gone on. And that may have nothing to do with Tim Seeley. But when you combine that with, and I don't like the coloring either. So yeah. But I don't know. It's kind of a book to keep an eye on. I have to look and see if anyone else has been talking about them and decide whether to look for issue 2, and there might even be issue 3 out, or wait a few months and look for a trade. Speaking of wait for the trade, I really wish I'd waited for the trade on Spy Seal. Paying $4 for this, I think this last issue might have had 17 pages of art. The pages are wonderful to look at. I love, I love the colors and the backgrounds and the style of storytelling. The story itself kind of ended in a bit of a fizzle. I think I still overall had a fun time reading this, but given how much I paid for so little pages, and now I read that that when it comes out in trade, it's going to be oversized. I assume like a Tintin book, since it kind of resembles Tintin. So a European album style, which I would much have rather have gotten this way. So I don't think I'm going to get any more Rich Tomaso, that's who did this, Rich Tomaso books in floppies. I think I'm going to wait for the trade, which I feel guilty about because he was got a lot of publicity out of the fact that he wasn't selling many floppies when this first came out. And I think a lot of people jumped on it, sort of because of the awareness created by that. But I don't feel like he's trying to buy the goodwill of the floppy buyer. Another one I really liked was Mystic You. And I got this hoping to read it with my daughter, and in the end I read it on my own. She might like it, she might not. Maybe I should wait another year or so for her to read this. There's a few, she's very sensitive to gross things, and there's kind of this gross goo creature. It's not really that bad at all. I think a lot of other 9-year-olds would be fine reading this. But this was really well written, really fun, a really fun way to kind of redo the magic character. I guess it's kind of like an Elseworld story, I think, or kind of a magic forking where something went wrong at the beginning of the issue. I don't think we're ever told. And I think Satana sort of causes things to start over to avoid the catastrophe, I think, that has either destroyed New York City or all of Earth or something at the beginning of the story. But once you get past that point, it's a really fun story. One of the weird things is the story, as the story proper begins, Satana does she doesn't know she has magical powers, and she's angry at her father, and she accidentally sends him to hell to solve, and we don't know what's happened to him, but she seems unconcerned. I don't know if the writer expects us to kind of believe that, someone says, one of the adults says, he handles things like this all the time, but we don't see any sense that he's come back from hell or anything. So has she actually cast her dad into hell? But so we have a gathering of misfit high school characters who are magical characters. One of them is the son of Felix Faust. And one of them is, I forget, Sargon the Sorcerer or something. I only remember him from reprints of like Golden Age comics that were in those 64 page or 80 page specials that reprinted a lot of Golden Age stuff when I was a kid in DC Comics. So they're the kind of misfits, and then the people running the school, who was it? Was it Madame Xanadu or someone like that? This again has been a while since I've read it. The people running the school have a prediction that one of these 4 students will cause horrible doom. Mr. E is involved. Oh, and the teachers are in the House of Mystery. So I like the appearance of the House of Mystery. So all in all, if you like kind of the DC magical world, this is a really fun new take on it. And it's a chunkier comic. It cost a bit more, but it was I felt well worth it. And lastly, I guess I will chat a bit about Fighting American. This is billed as continuing directly from Simon & Kirby's 1950s comic. And in a sense it does, because they have taken the 1950s Fighting American and his sidekick, whose name I can't remember now. Again, I should remember that because I've read the most recent issue just today. Senior moment here, I guess. Star Spangled Kid, I think maybe is his name. Is it? No, I'm not sure. Anyway, he and his sidekick are these 1950s fish out of water in the decadent modern times. And what they really are a spoof of patriotic characters from a kid's comic in 1950 put into an adultish, or at least something that teenagers would relate to more, version of our world. And one of the things that happened is their villain, who was a boy in 1954, has become a woman in our modern times. Now, is that a pro-LGBTQ kind of thing, or is it negative? I will leave that up to you, LGBTQ people, because she's the villain. And I think it's all part of there's a lot of shock value and scenes of the Star Spangled Kid or whatever he is drooling over girls in revealing clothing and the like. I think they go to a restaurant that turns out to be kind of like what's that? What's it called? Hooters type of restaurant. Is that here? Or was that in another issue? Being silly. Worrying about that. But yeah, so, and it's drawn in this funky style that's kind of old school, but not quite, by this artist named Duke Nukem. There's the villain as he was as a boy back in the 50s and as an adult in the 2000 teens. But it's quite fun to read, but it's not a hand it to your kids kind of book. I think it's still for a teenage or older kind of reader. So I guess I'll be back in a bit. I think I've hit like the 14-minute mark-ish. So I'm kind of proud of myself of limiting myself. If limits are good, maybe going overboard is what's best in life. But we'll see. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.